Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us for our Tuesday weather update for November the 8th. We are monitoring some low pressure to the north of New Zealand that's tapping into a larger area of low pressure up in the tropics. And the other main feature over here in Western Australia, it's heading towards South Australia. It's going to drive in a whole lot of wind and rain for Adelaide, and then it moves into Victoria as well. So there's a few moving parts on the page, but we've also got these big blocks of high pressure either side of New Zealand and another one waiting out here in the wings over the Indian Ocean. So let's have a look at rainfall coming up. This is for the next 3 days as of Tuesday morning. You can see that rain offshore for the most part, but brushing around Whangarei in the Bay of Islands. You've got about 50 millimetres or so coming through for there. And as you go further down towards Auckland, the totals drop right off and really almost nothing for the rest of the country. So you can see it's these northeastern areas and northern areas that are going to be clipped by the rain. By the way, for those of you who watched our Climate Watch update for the month of November, this rain map looks remarkably similar to the rain map for the next few months ahead, on which areas might be a little bit wetter and which ones might be just a little bit drier. So there's nothing too concerning in that New Zealand forecast as far as rain is concerned. Over in Australia, also not too concerning. The only downside is a lot of this rain that's falling is back into Victoria, but it's only about 35, 40 millimetres, so hopefully not too problematic, and that's spread over 5 days. So fingers crossed there's no real issues out of that. So let's get into the forecast. Here we are for Wednesday at lunchtime. So you can see the two big blocks of high pressure. The first one in the Tasman, the other one well to the east of New Zealand. It's this one to the east that's encouraging this airflow from around Tonga, and that's coming straight on down into the North Island, or at least clipping the eastern side, a couple of showers there. Whereas this high pressure zone, different airflow from it coming in as a southerly for the South Island. So the two meet in the middle, and that's why it's quite cloudy for a lot of northern areas here on Wednesday, and also here on Wednesday, the windy northerlies around Adelaide, Melbourne, and also pushing in towards Tasmania as we go through the day. Now we get to Thursday, and certainly windy around that southeastern corner. So the southeastern corner of Victoria and across Tasmania both seem pretty gusty at times. Only a little bit of wet weather coming through, so that's the good news. Over on the New Zealand side, high pressure is still in charge of the South Island, but notice it's moved from the Tasman Sea to the Pacific Ocean. Lots of easterly winds now developing. So Thursday, look at the blustery easterlies kicking in all the way down into Canterbury as well. You'll feel that easterly wind, but it'll be strongest in the North Island. Gets stronger on Friday. Friday, we've got severe weather possibilities, both heavy rain, although the rain not so problematic, but the wind. There could be gusts in this zone here, sort of from the Bay of Islands down to about Auckland and Coromandel Peninsula, sort of the Auckland area, and just north of Auckland, could be seeing gusts of 100 k's an hour. Certainly in the 60 to 80 k an hour zone, which is getting into gale force. So it'll be a blustery Friday from the east to northeast, but notice the low pressure zone. It's not a storm. So this is what we call a squash zone, where the air pressure gets squashed up between low pressure and a big block of high pressure further to the south. So that is Friday. Certainly could be a chance of some wind warnings being issued there. Now on Saturday, you might have noticed in our forecast the thunderstorm icon bubbling up in some northern areas. So the main front, that's it here, and this is the subtropical airflow coming down, changes to more of a northerly airflow, but that low pressure zone adds the instability into the atmosphere. So you'll have morning rain, then it should ease away in northern areas, but then in the afternoon, isolated downpours. Some will even have thunder in that mix. So a chance for getting a bit of energy into the afternoon. That's what I'm trying to say. So a couple of downpours, maybe an isolated thunderstorm or two bubbling up on Saturday afternoon, but still mostly dry in the south. And notice that low pressure zone moving in around Adelaide and slowly heading towards Melbourne. And so as we get into Sunday, that's what happens. It moves over and into Victoria, a couple of heavy downpours inland, more up towards New South Wales even, and a bit of wind and rain still around Tasmania, but nothing too major. New Zealand's changed a wee bit with the weather. We've got that tropical system moving away. The blue you see there, that indicates afternoon downpours. So it's not raining for everybody. It means that in that blue highlighted risk, which is a lot of inland parts of the country, you've got a chance of some downpours bubbling up into the afternoon. So maybe, again, a chance of thunder or just a heavy fall of rain in the afternoon, most likely in both islands. And that is the forecast from me. The last thing I want to talk about there's a high pressure zone drifting in from the Indian Ocean at the end of all of this. So usually the first half of November can be quite changeable and the second half starts to calm down. We'll see if that happens this year. There's certainly some evidence that that might be happening. That's all from me. We'll see you again tomorrow, Wednesday, with our next update.